So now this week we've got the Covington Woodley card coming up, and I've got to say this card is fucking fire. This is going to be more stacked than the pay-per-view coming up. It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be full of great fights. So I'm just going on the bout order on Tapology. I don't know if this is the confirmed order, but this is how we're going. So starting off, we've got Tyson Nam versus Jerome Rivera. Tyson Nam, he was supposed to fight Matt Schnell last Saturday, but Schnell couldn't make weight, so they had to give him a new fight this week against Jerome Rivera. And Rivera, he fought on Contender Series Week 1, and even though he won, I don't think he won, and he didn't win a contract. He's got good submissions. He's rangy. He likes to use the jab, throws out some front kicks, decent leg kicks. And with Nam, he's a basic low-volume striker. He's got good power for flyweight, powerful hands, good high kick. Overall, I think the experience will play a huge factor for Tyson Nam. I think he'll just know how to score points and avoid the submissions, and I think he'll be able to just coast to a unanimous decision. So now we've got Darrick versus TJ Laramie. I've got to say this right off the bat. I think TJ Laramie runs away with this fight. I think this fight's going to go just like the Darrick Grant Dawson fight, except I don't think he'll get the submission. I think he'll get the TKO late. I think he'll just take him down, pound him out, wear him out. Eventually, he'll just get to him. The shots will start adding up. He'll get the TKO late, round 3, I believe. Irwin Rivera versus Ewell. I don't think either of these guys have looked too great in their UFC stints so far. But Ewell, he's fought the better competition, and I think he's more experienced overall. Both of these guys are primarily strikers, but I think Ewell, he'll be too rangy, and I think he'll have too much power in his hands for Rivera, and I think he'll end up getting the unanimous decision from outstriking him for 15 minutes. Alright, so next up, we've got Newson versus Randy Costa, and I've got to say, this is probably the toughest, if not one of the toughest fights for me to decide on this card, but I think I'm going to have to go with Randy Costa. He's a really slick striker, and I think he could put anyone out. He's got really good kicks, great striking overall. He kicks from, just throws weird kicks. Newsom, he's got some good boxing, heavy hands, decent wrestling. He's solid overall, but I think Costa will be way too much on the feet. I think he'll get him out of there pretty quickly. So Jessica Rose Clark versus Sarah Alpar. I'm not going to get too deep into the fight. I haven't looked too much into it. But I think Sarah Alpar, I think she's been much more active. She's a good grappler. I think Jessica Rose Clark, not too active, struggled against grapplers. I think this will be a pretty easily unanimous decision for Sarah Alpar. So Jordan Espinosa versus David Dvořák. I've got David Dvořák all day. I think he's better everywhere. I think on the feet, Jordan Espinosa can make it somewhat competitive, but I think Dvořák has the advantage there. He has the advantage on the ground where Jordan Espinosa has struggled. I think Dvořák can really do whatever he wants, but I think he'll probably submit him late, I would say. I'm not too sure, though. I think he can win by any means necessary. So we've got Mayra Bueno Silva versus Romero Borella. And do I really need to go over this? I think everyone knows what's going to happen. Borella, she kind of sucks. Not too great. And Mayra Bueno Silva, she's a really strong grappler. I think she'll be able to get her down, submit her in the first pretty easily. Mirsad Bektić versus Eduardo Garagorri. This fight, off the bat, I've got to say this is a huge mismatch. Bektić, he's a heavy grappler, good takedowns, really strong top game. Eduardo Garagorri, he's got decent striking. He doesn't really have much grappling at all. I think Bektić will be able to run away with this. I think he'll be able to control him for 2 rounds, then finish him in the 3rd with the TKO. Kevin Holland versus Darren Stewart. Overall, I think Kevin Holland, I think he's much more skilled. I think he's more fluent on the feet and has a more diverse skill set than Stewart, who's primarily a striker and a simple and stiff one at that. I don't think he has too great of grappling either. He's got decent front chokes. That's about it. He doesn't really have much of a gas tank, which Kevin Holland, I think he has in spades. Kevin Holland, he's got a good chin too, so the power of Darren Stewart, I don't think Darren Stewart will be able to get him out of there. I think Holland, I think he takes this. I think it's going to look pretty similar to the Buckley fight. I think Darren Stewart, he's going to chase after him for a couple rounds, keep getting clipped, and I think eventually he'll get finished late in the 3rd by knockout. Randa Marcos versus Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern, she's the accomplished jiu-jitsu artist, really good submissions. Randa Marcos, she's a wrestler. I think she'll be able to stop the takedowns, and I think she'll be better on the feet just because she has more experience at a higher level. Although I can see Randa Marcos slipping on a banana peel, falling on her back. If that happens, Mackenzie Dern, if she can get on top at any point, she most likely will get the submission. Although I don't necessarily see that happening, it definitely can, and I would not be surprised in the slightest. But overall, I've got Randa Marcos by barely edging out a decision. Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann. I want to say this first off. This kind of gives me Walker Roundtree vibes on this fight. I think Spann, he's a powerful puncher, but he tends to rush forward and push his opponents against the fence in the clinch. And I think with that, Walker, I think he'll be able to either get a tie clinch or something like an over-under, and I think he'll be able to spin him around. And then I think he'll be able to hurt him with knees or elbows and get the finish pretty quickly. Most likely round 2, but he can get it down to round 1. Especially if Johnny Walker's fought like he has in the past where he's really switched on around 1. I could see him clipping Spann really quickly. So with something like he did in the Cerrone fight. It could go fast, but I think it'll take a minute. But I think Johnny Walker will finish it in the clinch. So this one's another tough one for me. We've got Gerald Meerschaert versus Khamzat Chimaev. So starting off, Khamzat Chimaev, we know what he's going to do from what we've seen. Strong grappler. He's got that Dagestani style wrestling where he's just going to maul you on the ground. But I think he's going up against a really tough test in GM3, Gerald Meerschaert. Crafty veteran. I think he's got good submissions. Although he's been controlled before, he's been submitted many times. But I think he still has a pretty good chance. Chimaev's pretty green. I think GM3, he might be able to last, get him in a choke late. But overall, I think that Chimaev, I think that he's just stronger. I think he has the wrestling advantage, a smothering top game. I think he's got the athleticism in spades over him. I think he's got less miles on him. I think he'll be able to get him down, pound him out, wear him out, maybe even get a submission. Gerald Meerschaert, he's been submitted 9 times. I could see Chimaev gassing him out a little bit, submitting him with an arm triangle in round 2 or 3. But overall, I think Chimaev takes it. It's a risky play. Meerschaert is definitely live, but I think Khamzat has all the skills to take it. So yeah, I'm going to go with Khamzat. I want to say submission round 2, but he can pound him out. He can win a decision. It's whatever. I think Meerschaert, he's crafty. He can also finish it on the feet or the ground. But I think all signs lead to Chimaev, especially because they've been wanting to jump him up really quickly. Damian Maia, he loses too, but it is what it is. I think he can get past Gerald Meerschaert. Donald Cerrone versus Niko Price. I'm really excited for this fight. It's going to be a fun one while it lasts, but I think Price takes it. I think both of these guys, they mostly struggle with boxers, which I don't think either of them specialize in necessarily, but I can see that Niko Price putting the pressure on Cowboy early and not giving him enough space to be comfortable, let his kicks off. And I think that Donald Cerrone, he's on the decline. He's not really a 170er anyways. I think that Niko Price, he's going to be too big. He's trading wins and losses, and I think he's due for a win. And Donald Cerrone, he's been doing more winning than losing as of late, even though I thought he beat Pettis. But overall, I think Niko Price can put the pressure on him, keep it in a phone booth, finish him probably in round 1. Niko Price is just too powerful. And finally, we're at the main event. I don't think I really need to talk about this one much. Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley. If you want to know what's going to happen in this fight, watch Tyron Woodley's last 2 fights. You'll know exactly what's going to happen. Colby is going to win every single round, put the pressure on him, win probably 50-45. I can even see this being something like a 50-44. Colby's going to run away with this easily. Tyron Woodley, his only chance is really a one-shot KO. That's not going to happen. Colby runs away with this one easily. Colby all day.